Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Martine's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Martine Felton, and I'm here today. Well, before I bring on my guest, I wanted to talk to all of you about what you see scrolling down at the bottom of your screen. Um, don't forget to purchase a copy of my latest book, You Love, You Learn, and it's available on my website, martinefelton.com, as well as Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and other major book retailers. And also, I wanted to talk about I am holding a registration for my free 3-day masterclass, which I'll be teaching you how to disable your limitations. So if you go on my website and right when you open up the page opens up, there'll be a button for you to register for this masterclass. It's going to be launching in a few weeks. It has not launched yet. I know there are some people that have been asked telling me they registered and didn't receive anything. That's because it didn't launch yet. I'm just collecting emails. Now, once you register, this class is exclusive to those who I get the emails from. It's not going to be out for the masses, out in public. I'm not uploading it on YouTube. This is an exclusive free 3-day masterclass where you will learn how to disable your limitations, how to identify your limiting beliefs, to how to understand where they come from, and I will talk about how to disable those limitations so that you can move forward with the things that you want to do, with the things that you desire, and manifest the things that you want and live your life of abundance and prosperity. Okay, so now I'm going to bring on my guest. She is Reverend Corbie Mitleid, and we're going to discuss her book, which is Clean Out Your Life Closet. Hi, Corbie.
It's good to be here.
How are you?
Good. A little soggy, as a lot of us are right now, but good.
So, like I was telling the listeners and the viewers before you came on, the name of your book is Clean Out Your Life Closet. So let's get into it. Tell me about this book and what it's all about.
Well, I will give $100 cold cash to any of your audience who can literally raise their hand and say, I have never bought a self-help book in my life. Because we all have.
Yes.
I remember my first book when I was 16, and it was saying, Judy has the best makeup and a wonderful dress, etc. But nobody likes her and nobody cares because Judy's fat. I mean, this is what we thought about in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So today, tons and tons of books, self-help, sexy titles, great covers. And you go into Barnes and Noble and you flip a couple pages. Looks good. You get it home and you start to read it and you realize this is not talking to you. What do you mean I have to avoid foods with lectin and do yoga every morning at 3 a.m.? I'm a preschool teacher with 2 kids of my own in Milwaukee. You can forget it. And it goes on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I wanted to write the book I would want to read. And number one, it's funny because I am. Mm-hmm. And each chapter, here's some of the stupid things I did. Here's a client story. And here are some suggestions. But the key is the adventure pages, which are at the end of each chapter.
Right.
When you answer these things, you can't go back in the book and look for the answers because they're not there. For instance, let's go to finding happiness with what you have right now. How good are you at finding happiness in the moment? If you aren't good, what do you think stops you? You're not going to find that in there. You have to plumb your own experiences. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the book, you're going to realize you've got your own answers. You can create your own miracles. You don't need to find somebody else to tell you how to do it. You've got it all already.
Right. How would you address someone who is resistant in this type of book, self-help books? They're like, that's a load of crap. Self-help books don't really, you know, that are resistant to personal development in general. What would you say to them?
Well, for most self-help books, I think you're absolutely correct. But in this one, even if you don't use it, you're going to like what you read because you're going to see other people and how they work. And if anything works for you, great, use it. Otherwise, lend it to a friend. My ego is not wrapped up in this book. That's part of
Hmm.
the other thing. When you want to be a self-help guru, it's like, I've got all the answers and you have to listen to me. No, it's a perfect example. I was this close to getting a reality show for what I do. I'm an internationally known psychic medium, but they told me I had to say, I'm wonderful and nobody else can do what I do. And I'm so special, which is against what I do.
Right.
We're all wired the same. I'm not special. You can do what I do. And that's what I say in this book. So if you don't like self-help books because they all come across as gurus, I agree with you, which is why this book is 180 degrees in the other direction. You're the one who writes the story. You're the one who recognizes your challenges, and
Hmm.
you're the one who decides where you go.
Yeah, I definitely like that when you say you're the one that writes your story, because it's true. We do write our own stories, like
Yes.
literally while it's happening. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I was going to say something it escaped me. Oh, what what's your personal story? What brought you to go from so many different avenues of
The
livelihood?
checkered career. Yes.
I was trying to say different avenues of livelihood.
Okay. I trust me, honey. I do not believe my own press. You can be as blunt as you want. Um, it's a matter of when you are the oddball in the family, you're
Yeah.
going to be looking. Dad was a doctor. Mom was a nurse. My brother is a doctor. Me, I was a theater major and I wrote. I could have stood on the dinner table and recited Shakespeare and tap danced, and they'd all be talking medicine. So I
Right.
was always the weirdo. Okay. And it took me a long time to own what I was good at without comparing it to everybody else in the family and thinking, well, I'm a failure because I'm not all that.
Hmm.
But what I did is I found my sentence of passion, which is cross the bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. When I can take somebody from point A to point B, when they thought they couldn't make it, I'm living my bliss. And I've done that in every career I've had. And I do it with the book gently,
Hmm.
funny, but I hold up, take a look at this. Maybe this is useful for you. And I let people decide what their path is, just as I had to decide mine.
Yeah. What would you say was your greatest challenge during your path? I'm sure you had
My
many.
Well, I know. Yeah, I've been through a lot. 3 bouts of breast cancer, 2 divorces, the death of all 3 of my parents. But I lived the examined life.
Hmm.
When something happens, you find the nugget of what's useful about it. You say, okay, now I can teach with this later. And then you go next. So that's why this is not a self help book when there's a pity party inside.
Right.
It's literally, this is what I had to go through, but this is how I handled it. This is some stuff you could try too. The book is 4 things: it's clarity, adaptability, simplicity, and making friends with stress. And working with those 4 things is how I got through all of the challenges I had.
I'd like to hear more about making friends with stress. How do you
Okay.
make friends with stress?
Well, first, you got to realize that there's 2 kinds of stress. There is eustress, EU stress, and that's
Right.
good stress. That's the minute before you're going to go on stage. That's when you're getting ready to make a big speech, when you're getting ready to take an important test. Those are things when you're really revving yourself up because you want to be brilliant. Distress is bad stress. That's things like saying yes when you wanted to say no,
Hmm.
double thinking everything because you're trying to figure out every possible angle so you don't get it wrong. Always not saying what you think because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. That's chronic stress.
Yeah.
That's when your gut always hurts, you can't sleep, you overeat, You zone out. So we first learned the difference between good stress and bad stress. Then the two kinds of stress that I really talk about in the book are what I call stress as the shot across the bow. One big wham that gets you when you go, wake up call. And the other is stress as mission creep. Well, what's mission creep? Anybody out there in the military knows. You get assigned one thing. Somebody else comes along and assigns you a second thing on top of the one thing. And it keeps going and it keeps going until you've got 8 things to do without any more time and without any more supplies. But you
Mm-hmm.
didn't say no because you weren't allowed. The example I use in mission creep, somebody loves to knit and makes baby clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And the person she makes baby clothes says, wow, this would be great for our, tag sale at the church, would you? And somebody else at the church who works for the local national public radio says, that would be great for our pledge drive. Would you make some for that too? And now when you make them for the pledge drive, would you make them out of this kind of stuff and use the wool from these kind of underwriters? And so there are now so many restrictions and so many expectations on what this woman used to do just to relax, that as soon as she commits to everything and finishes it, she never knits again because all the joy's been taken out.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to learn that one of my favorite sayings, no is a fabulous idea. When you say no to other people, you say yes to you. And that's absolutely vital for you to learn.
I agree. I agree. It's those setting those boundaries is really
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yes.
And people, I was unaware of boundaries a long time ago. I just lived my life boundless,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
We're taught to be nice. And
yes, we're taught,
anytime we take care of ourselves, we're told we're selfish. No, we're
yes.
not.
So living boundless and not having any discernment and that all affects you, you
Mm-hmm.
know, especially if you're empathic and you have, you're going, you have spiritual gifts and, you might not even be aware of that like me at the time. And it all now that I'm aware, I know how to set my boundaries. I'm still working on it. And, I feel better now about saying no and not having the guilt about it.
Please, when you're talking about spiritual gifts, there
Hmm.
are always people who come up to me and say, what do you mean you're charged for your readings? Your abilities are a gift from God. You should give them away for free. You're not very spiritual. And I look and I say, okay, we're going to flip that. Would you
Okay.
say to your physician who's very talented, wow, you're not going to take care of me for free? You're not very compassionate. You want me to get sick and die, don't you? And they look and
Mhm.
they like, oh, that's ridiculous. I said, you're saying the same thing.
Right.
In this world, we have to earn money to take care of ourselves. It's not like 5th century Ireland, where the person who was the seer and the fortune teller, everybody in the village gave them clothes and a chicken.
Exactly.
It's just not.
Those are not these days anymore.
No.
Yeah, and that's the thing too with that, in the beginning, you tend to feel funny charging when you're doing, like light work and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
or just helping people in general, whether you are a doctor or, some type of uh, occupation where you're helping people, you might feel funny, charging, and that's all part of setting that boundaries and saying yes to yourself and saying yes, this is what I'm worth. This is what my services are worth,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I charge. And yes, if you want to work with me, this is what I require.
This is the energy exchange.
Yes, correct. Energy exchange. Correct on the energy exchange. So, what other part of your book? I wanted to know about the clarity part. You said there was clarity and adaptability. How
Mm-hmm.
does that work into cleaning out your life closet? What does that phrase really
All
encompass? I
right.
should say.
Clarity. When you get clear, you know what you want in your life and what you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that clarity is a 3-legged stool because you need to get clear on your purpose, clear in your relationships, and clear with spirit. If you're clear in those 3 things, you can make anything happen.
Right. Right.
So Clarity is, I use the example of a telescope. You have to clean off your lens
Mm-hmm.
if you're gumming it up with responsibilities you really don't have to take, or wasting your time, or people that aren't good for you. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to see well out of that lens. So
Right.
clean it up.
Yeah.
As far as the adaptability goes, um, that's going with the flow. And I have some chapters like finding happiness with what you have right now. One of them is when perfect destroys good, which explains through my parents' marriage, which was very, very toxic, very difficult. When my mother died very young, age
Mhm.
59, my father married a year later to an absolutely splendid woman. She was a magnificent stepmother, and everything changed. Part of it was because my grandmother, who was basically my mother's mortal enemy from the day she met my mother,
Right.
died 6 weeks before my mother did. So she was no longer in the picture. Shirley understood the concept of good can be as good as perfect. And
Right.
she didn't drive herself or my father crazy. And it was a great 17-year marriage until dad died in 2001.
Okay. Yes, she knew how to adapt to the situation she was coming into.
Absolutely. She
Mm-hmm.
knew how to adapt. She didn't beat herself up for having to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And she accepted things. She was very much a Martian detective, which is something else in the book that I explain to people and recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a Martian detective, if he comes down to Earth, he doesn't know anything about humanity. So let's say you and I are sitting together and there is water coming out of your eyes. I might say, "Why are you crying?" But I might be wrong. The Martian might look at you and go, "Why is there water coming from your eyes?" And the Martian would be better equipped to get an answer because maybe your contact lenses are bugging you, or maybe
Right.
you have allergies, or maybe there's the emotional basis. Because I limited myself to emotion. I could have been wrong. He opened it up to all possibilities. And that's what we need to do. Not judge a situation, just ask.
And that's all part of cleaning out your life closet.
Mm-hmm.
I see, so like that title is I feel like it encompasses a lot, like, because we hold so much baggage,
Yeah,
from our childhood, from even past lives that we're carrying
mm-hmm.
around that we don't even realize.
That's right.
um, and I feel like a lot of us walk around with that unexamined life, and not, and don't really think about these things, and we just, it's always go 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 go,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never, okay, let's rest, let's take care of ourselves,
That's
let's,
right.
you know what I mean, let's think about what's really going on here. It's always go go
Mm-hmm.
go go go, and that doesn't give you an opportunity to clean out your life closet.
To review, I had a gorgeous dress in 1985 with the shoulder pads and the dynasty look. And back then I could wear it.
I remember that
Now,
look.
oh, honey, I adored the 80s. Now,
Mhm.
if I still had that dress in my closet because I loved the way I used to look, even though I don't look like that now, why is
Mhm.
it taking up space? So, if you had a really bad experience junior year in college that you keep thinking about, why is it taking up space in your closet? You're not in college and you're not that person. Out.
Right.
So that's why it's your life closet, not just your closet closet. Get rid
Mhm.
of everything in your life that's busted, that you're not going to fix, was never you in the first place, doesn't fit, you've outgrown. All of that can go out the door.
But just you still working with this closet analogy, a lot of us
Hmm.
still hold on, even when we try to clean out and purge and give things away and donate and whatever, it we still hang on
Hmm.
to we still hoard.
We do. But the thing that is important, especially these days, I mean, it meant a great deal to me when my stepmother died in 2009 and I finally got everything that I wanted from the house. All the furniture I grew up with. I have a dresser that has barrettes and swimsuits scrawled in crayon from when I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
But no one these days wants that. Everyone is living lighter.
Right.
So whether or not I want to keep it eventually, I have to realize when I'm dead, somebody might come in the house and throw it all in a dumpster. How important is it? It's not things, it's experience, it's
Yeah.
communication. That never goes out of fashion in your life closet.
Yeah.
Stuff, yeah, you can get rid of stuff.
Yeah. And that emotional stuff too is what
Hmm.
holds you back from, living your best life.
Yes. And you don't know who else might want it. Um, Again, going back to my parents' stuff, I had a lot of my mother's furniture still in a storage building. We'll
Mm-hmm.
never have the room for it here. But I found friends who are antique dealers and they loved it and they will use it in their house with their children.
Right.
So these are things that have been in my life for 66 years, but they're gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how light I feel because I'd never used them. You're never going to use ideas that were yours when you're 20. You are never going to be able to tell off the person who was mean to you at your first job in 1977. Let this
Let it
go.
go, let it go. What are some of the ways that you take care of yourself? Or do you have any self-care practices?
Hmm. I do. I spend at least an hour a day smushing on my cats. I have the big one is a 26-pound Maine Coon. He's the size of a
Ooh,
beagle. He's
wow.
a big cuddle. Um, I make sure that I have time with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got married in our mid 40s, so we don't have decades and decades to think about. I have gratitude bubbles in these moments.
Mm-hmm.
Simple thing like making him a couple of eggs for breakfast. A
Right.
simple thing like he remembers to feed the cats in the morning. Little things, constant gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yep.
Um, I keep my house neat because that's me. Um, I do better living through chemistry. I've been gray since I was 28. I'll keep my wisdom streak. The rest of it, this is the color I was when I was young. But I don't do a lot of fluffing and buffing. I don't tend to do makeup or nails. I don't have time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and I make sure that I spend a little time outside. We have a very tiny house, but it's in the middle of a 12-acre hayfield in upstate New York. And
Okay.
so when I go outside, I see the mountains. I see no other humans. Lots of
You're
turkeys, but
smack dab
no
in the
humans.
middle of nature. You can
Yes,
s-
and
you-
I
you're
breathe.
you're on like you're always grounding. You're
Yes, yes, I am.
always grounding.
It's important.
Yeah, I
But
know.
the thing is, I still work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. I read about 1,000 people a year, but I love what I do. So remember boundaries?
Yes.
Wednesday, I don't take clients. I don't work. That's my self-care day. And that's always date night with my husband.
Perfect. Yeah.
So tiny things. They don't have to be expensive. We don't take cruises. But yeah, he and I'll go out to our favorite diner, see our favorite waitress, and revel in each other's company.
That's beautiful. What do you want the readers of this book to take away once they're done?
You've got your own answers, my darling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say, I'm not measuring up to Wayne Dyer or Colette Baron Reed or Doreen Virtue or anybody else, or me. The, the tagline on the back of the book, through stories, examples, and the adventure pages, you can find your own answers, design your own toolbox, and discover that healing the old and creating the new can be a positive, joyful, soul satisfying experience. And that's all you, not me. Okay. Please trust yourself. You are so much better than you know. You are so much wiser than you know. When you throw away all the shoulds and the musts that everybody else gives you, you've got a world to explore. And boy, are you going to find some things you want to keep in your life closet once you get rid of the other stuff.
Nice. So, where can people find your book and purchase your book?
You can either get it at my website, which is corbiemitleid.com. You can get any one of my three. There's Clean Out Your Life Closet, Psychic Yellow Brick Road, and you've got The Magic Who Needs a Genie, which is for all of the light workers out there who are making it a business.
Mm-hmm.
Also at Amazon. Now, Life Closet specifically, you can get it paperback, you can get it Kindle, but I also did an audiobook for it. Because
Okay.
for me, when it's a nonfiction book, the writer should be the one to read it to you because they're the ones that had the passion for it.
Right. Yeah, audiobooks are cool. I'm really getting into those as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's easier to listen to while you're doing other stuff.
I used to be on the road 45 weekends a year going
Yes,
from
and then
expo to expo. I lived on audiobooks.
yeah. Well, this was a really great conversation. Thank you for joining me, Corbie.
Please. Thank you for
And
asking me.
yeah, of course. And again, if you want to reach out to Corbie, there's her website right there at the bottom of the screen to purchase any of her books. And yeah, this was a great conversation. And I want to thank everyone for listening. If you're listening on the podcasting platforms, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. And I will see you next time on another episode. Everyone, take care. Bye.